What if I told you there was a railroad so bold, so daring, that it climbed nearly 3,000 feet in just 20 miles, through sheer cliffs, avalanches, and some of the most unforgiving terrain on Earth? Welcome to the station, and this is the story of the White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad, the railroad that opened the door to the Klondike Gold Rush and changed the North forever. In 1897, the quiet coastal town of Skagway, Alaska, exploded overnight. Steamships filled the bay, unloaded tens of thousands of hopeful prospectors, men and women chasing rumors of gold in the Klondike. But there was a problem. Between the bay and the gold fields lay the coast mountains, steep, icy, and deadly. The White Pass and the Chilkoot trails were brutal. Horses collapsed, supplies were lost, many never made it through. The North needed a better way. And so in 1898, construction began on what many called an impossible dream. A narrow gauge railroad climbing from sea level in Skagway through the White Pass and into British Columbia, eventually reaching Whitehorse in the Yukon. Workers would blast through solid rock, build trestles over dizzying drops, and lay track in conditions that pushed human endurance to the limit. There were snowstorms and landslides, explosions. Lives were lost, but the line kept advancing. In 1900, just 2 years later, the railroad was completed against all odds. As the train climbs inland, you pass the Bridal Falls, Dead Horse Gulch, and it crosses into British Columbia, threading through towering peaks and narrow passages carved out. This stretch was revolutionary. What once took weeks and cost lives could now be traveled in hours. The railroad transformed the White Pass from a deadly obstacle into a gateway of opportunity. Gold, machinery, food, and people flowed north. The Klondike was suddenly within reach. By the time the railroad reached Whitehorse, the gold rush itself was already slowing down. But the railroad gave the North something even more valuable than gold: sustainability. It turned remote camps into permanent towns. It enabled trade, communication, and industry. It anchored Whitehorse as a northern hub. The White Pass and Yukon Route didn't just chase gold, it built the North. Freight operations ended in the late 20th century. The railroad, however, was reborn as one of the most spectacular heritage railroads in the world. Today, passengers ride the same rails, clinging to the cliffs, crossing wooden trestles, and winding through landscape unchanged since the gold rush. It's not just a train ride. And as a train enthusiast who's been there and has witnessed the spectacular view, it's a journey, but it's a journey founded in ambition, hardship, and human determination. But what a spectacular view it is. The White Pass and Yukon Route Railroad stands as a monument to what people will endure in the pursuit of opportunity, and how infrastructure can reshape history. From the waters of the bay, through British Columbia's mountain passes, to the heart of the Yukon, this railroad didn't just connect places, it connected dreams. Thanks for joining with me on this edition of Welcome to the Station. If you enjoyed this journey into Northern history, be sure to like, subscribe, and hop aboard for more stories where the tracks of the past still shape our world and our country today.